want to make a long. I don't know. I broke my boss's drug dealer's nose, and he kind of fired me. The algorithm is working for them.
Right.
The algorithm is not working for you. It shows you things that it wants you to see.
Firm belief that AI is like the Terminator. It is here to fucking kill us. It cares nothing for humanity. You know, cyber sigil, usually it's a bad tattoo. Traditional Japanese, Americana, what the fuck ever. Bad tattoo is a bad tattoo.
That's
right. Here's my problem with that. And the reason why I can say this is because TV networks don't give a fuck about the audience. They look down on the fucking audience. They don't think the audience has the wherewithal to even know what they like. Chef, and you talk to a guy who works in a fucking restaurant, spent 30 fucking years creating a career for himself, and now he's got to listen to some fucking douchebag who's been doing this for fucking 4 years, who just got a deal for for a bunch of Ginsu wannabe fucking knives. He's a fucking chef? No. There's certain things where you said before, you fucking pay a certain amount of fucking dues to get to the point where you are. All right, fuck it, let's go. All right, so, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Not For Nothing. I'm on a fucking roll, 2 days in a fucking row. Managed to get some friends up here. Actually got to do a really fun color tattoo, which has been a long fucking time coming. And I get to spend some time talking to an old friend and hopefully a new friend. You guys are up here from Pennsylvania, so I'm going to start with you. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, just give everybody your name and where you're from.
Sure. Jamie Henderson from Milford, Pennsylvania, Forsaken Inc. And yeah, man, that's it. We finally made it. We're finally doing this.
How long you a tattooer? How long you been tattooing for?
Going on 20 years.
20 years.
20 years in 3 months, actually.
Nice. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Jeff Schick. Work with Forsaken Inc. with Jamie. I've been doing it 10 years, half with Jamie, so it's a pretty good chunk.
So how far, like, are you, so you're from New York originally, though?
Yeah, yeah.
How long you've been, it's like you owned a shop in Pennsylvania this whole time? Or, like, where'd you get your start?
So, when I started, it was in New York, and after my apprenticeship, so to make a long story short, I got fired about 4 or 5 months after I technically completed my apprenticeship. Yeah, I want to make a long, I don't know, I broke my boss's drug dealer's nose, and he kind of fired me.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, no,
well, that's
for real.
Actually a good. That's not a bad reason to get fired, though.
You wouldn't think so. I mean, just trying to help him out in the long run. He didn't see it that way, you know. So he wound up firing me for that. And at the time, you got to figure going back, that's when like the standards really weren't that set in stone. So I was trying to bring a higher standard to the community. And I thought that the people in the area could deserve something a little better. So I took it upon myself to kind of try to set that standard.
Now, where was the shop? Like, exactly where was the shop?
Middletown, New York.
In Middletown.
Yeah.
So, like, what was I don't think I've ever been through Middletown. Like, is it like Poughkeepsie, where it's kind of like trashy, but still kind of New York?
Yeah. It's definitely not as big, but it has like your little suburbs where, you know, it's like a Scotchtown area where it's all like your cookie cutter bio levels, and then you get downtown where it's a little more urban and trashy kind of areas, right. And you know, then you have like your centralized industrial areas. So I mean, it's definitely got some diversity to it.
Like what, like at the time, well, this is like 20 years ago, like heavy biker vibes, or, because you said the guy was a biker, or?
He was not, but he was taught by a biker. So funny enough, I don't even know if it's a thing anymore, probably not. I actually, before I opened up my shop, which is in the next town over, away from my apprentice, I asked the oldest shop who had a lot of biker affiliations, basically, to get her blessing, saying, hey, listen, I'm opening a shop, like, I know this is what I got to do. I hope everyth's okay. And she was like, yeah, cool. Until this day, like, her and I are still super cool.
Oh, you guys are still down. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. What about you, Jeff? Like, where'd you get your start?
Well, I first started in Milford, and now I'm back in Milford, so that's pretty cool.
Okay.
I have family all over Milford, so that was always cool. But I learned from Sean Whitehead, whom you know.
Yes.
So I had worked with him for probably about 4 or 5 years, and then I went back to New Jersey to work down there. And then unfortunately COVID happened.
Okay.
And the woman whom I was working for at the time didn't want to reopen.
Did she shut the shop down completely?
We were shut down completely, and then we got the go-ahead. I think it was like June 19th or some shit.
Oh, she was one of the people that held out to reopen? Did she open again at all?
Eventually.
Eventually.
But it was like, you got to make money, dude.
That
like,
was an amazing time. Like I was gonna say the idiocy of the entire situation, but yeah, it did blow my mind how artists and tattoo owners and stuff like literally threw caution of keeping a business running to the wind just because of things that were being said and done. You know?
Yeah, I mean, in Milford, it got to the point where we had to open up. So we scheduled it where it was one person per day, and we had to actually turn the lights out in the front of the shop because there were groups of people that were driving around ratting out small businesses for trying to make a living and keep the lights on.
So were you guys technically supposed to be shut down?
Yes.
So we kind of did
Oops.
the same. I mean, we did the same thing here. Like we have that big garage door, so that stayed down, and then like we put a blanket over the front door. Had people come in staggered. You know,
Yep.
we each have individual rooms. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So it was one of those things. And I will say, I mean, it's not even so much in defense of me, but also my guys. Had it not been for that, there's no fucking way we'd still be open. Like we would have had to shut down. My rents and stuff are entirely too high. The government wasn't offering enough in the way of stipends to like keep our business running. What money we did get was technically supposed to go to my front person because it was for her.
They were on the books.
Exactly.
Right.
And she, at the time, was living with us, you know, and so she looked at us like, well, I don't want the fucking money. Just put it towards the shop.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we didn't want to touch that money because I didn't know what the government was going to do or say. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. Just let it go. Like, leave it in the bank. And when we know for a fact that they're not going to be taking money from us back, then we'll cash that money in. But it was like $6,200 or something like that. It was next to nothing, and it was literally it's like a month's rent and our fucking utilities. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you had to do what you had to do to make the ends meet, and it sucks that so many people like, dude, we're not big companies. We're small business owners. Like we don't have all these millions of dollars in backup in the bank. Like we're pretty much going from month to month, just like everybody else.
So now, what was the second shop that you actually like after you leave after you get booted from your apprenticeship for punching a guy?
Man, you're harsh, dude.
What did you end up? You're the one that did it. What did you end up doing? Like, where'd you end up?
So I wound up opening a shop in Bloomingburg, which is like out in the middle of the sticks. And I don't know, I must have an affinity for one light towns. So I go from that one light town to another town with just one light in it. But that was, I was in Bloomingburg for about 9 years.
Oh, shit. So you obviously got along good with Guy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So now I met you on the road. Like when did you start traveling?
Probably my second year of tattooing.
Oh, for real? That soon?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Now, what spurred that on? Like just a want for adventure, or
That's what all the cool guys were doing in the magazines, like you and Jimmy, and that's what I had to do, man. Like, you know, you guys were the guys that I saw in the magazines, and you know, the guys that I looked up to, and all this stuff. Probably never heard me say it, never hear it again. So go fuck yourselves.
Hey, it's on tape now.
But yeah, like that's what I had to do, and you know, I had to make a name for myself and test my metal out against the world, and kind of see, you know, just what it's all about. And it turned out to be this thing where it's like, you know, you have this camaraderie where everybody's cool and sharing ideas and getting inspiration, and it turned out to be this awesome adventure, and eventually just led into like this completely blessed way of life. I mean,
so it's funny, after you had come out for an event at the shop, and this is when I knew you for a couple of years, but I didn't know you. And you came out, and there was a cat named Rob Zombie that hangs out with us. Not Rob, excuse me, Ron Zombie. He's a wrestler.
Yep.
So your background before you got into tattooing, or after? Like,
it was before.
You were semi-professional? Like, I don't know what the...
it was like minor league professional wrestler. It's it wasn't like WWF or E or anything like that. It was, you know, kind of local, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. You know, that type of deal.
It's funny. I never realized how big of a deal it was with Ron because I didn't know Ron from the beginning. Like Eric and a couple of guys here, they all grew up kind of together, you know. But when he said he was a wrestler, I just assumed it was some corny little, yeah, whatever, dude. But you guys you guys did some real proper matches.
Oh, yeah.
And he met a lot of like.
Oh yeah.
All the big
yeah,
names.
we wrestled a lot of real guys. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. How long did you do that before? Like, were you tattooing at the time as well, or no?
No. I just.
You were still pretty young.
I was still pretty young. Yeah. So I wrestled. I learned at 19, and then I finished up. I think probably around 25.
Really?
You know, it got to a point where it really does take a toll on you, and you have to make a decision. Like, all right, if the best I'm getting is like $40 for a match, and I've been doing it for like 5-6 years, like, okay, maybe I need to take another path in life because I'm beating the shit out of myself.
How much do you see that affecting? Like, you see the MMA guys nowadays. I mean, they take even more abuse and more of a beating. Like, what is that like to see? To see where you came from, the roots that you came from, and you see these guys taking even more abuse.
I think these guys are nuts.
How's word not gotten out? Like, did you love it that much? Because I know you got hurt. Like, you got really seriously hurt.
Yeah. You just love it, man. Like you just love it. And once you get that passion and the drive for it, like there's nothing that's going to stop you. You always want to get better. You know, and it comes a point in time again where if you're not doing it, okay, you kind of evaluate it. But like with tattooing and art, you know, we all know you have that passion and that drive inside of you, man. Like it doesn't go away. It may dim down a little bit, but it's always there. And we just need a little spark, a little gas to fire it back up again, you know?
Right. It freaks me out because that's exactly what I had. Fuck, the first 20 years of my career, and it's like that slowly starts to kind of fucking chip away. You know what I mean? Jimmy and I were talking about this yesterday.
Pessimistic motherfucker. You try to.
You've been calling me a pessimist all fucking day.
Dude, you've been shit like you. So you're telling me this is what I got to look forward to?
Oh yeah, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. You got no place to go after this.
Thanks.
You're fucked. And by the way, you've
with
been
friends
about
like
5
this.
Years. Shit.
What if we only get $40 a tattoo? You're like, what do I do?
Yeah, right.
When did you get like what were you doing before you started tattooing? What made you get into tattooing?
Well, I was always an art kid. Like I did the whole college thing. I did all that bullshit. And then I got out of college and was like, all right, what am I going to do with this fucking degree? And it didn't matter that I had an art degree.
Oh, you had what did you actually go to school for?
Fine art and illustration.
Oh God, completely wasted. Like illustration.
Hey, I mean, yeah. Like
illustration, not so much.
The biggest thing I did take from college was like, it doesn't matter what you do the best fucking possible version of it.
Okay.
Like if I'm gonna paint fucking kittens all day, make them the best goddamn paintings of kittens. You know, don't half-ass shit. Like fucking do it. Like be passionate.
So now how much of that did you take over? Like how did you get into tattooing? Like what was the thing that said, you know, I'm going to do this? Like I know a couple of people who have been to art school and they actually like wanted to be tattooers and just decided they couldn't do it, whatever. But then they get into it and it's like, you know, they get a taste for it. You got guys now that are like in art school want to be real artists, but then they realize I can't make a fucking living at this. I need to do something else. Tattooing seems to be...
Oh, they're rock stars. Fuck yeah, I want to do that.
It's not so much... I don't think it's so much the rock stars because the individuals that I know are really talented artists, but they can't make a living anymore. So it would be the same thing with the way I complain about tattooing now and like being the older tattooer and not being as busy as I once was. If there was some other lower thing than tattooer, I could do that. You know what I mean? I can't tattoo anymore because it's just too difficult and it's too young of a crowd now. So I'm going to go and become I don't know. I'd love to say comic book artist, but they don't. I apparently
think they work you harder than a tattoo.
Exactly. But what was the thing?
Yeah.
Well, I was working I was a manager in a grocery store, and it sucked. I was unhappy. But I'm still doing like side art stuff. I'm always doing art, drawing stuff, making stuff. Like I design tattoos for friends of mine, and like, oh, draw me his thing, you know, whatever, blah blah blah. Got to a point like I'm out of college.
So you were that guy.
I was that fucking guy. Hey, draw me something. Like fucking Christ Almighty, no. But it got to a point where like I was friends with Sean, and he's like, hey man, like you draw some cool shit. You should learn how to tattoo. And I went, all right, teach me how to fucking tattoo. And then he taught me how to tattoo.
Oh, for how long did your apprenticeship last?
I was there. It was probably about a year and a half.
Oh, that's a proper apprenticeship, man. It's not something you, especially when you're getting in. Well, that's not true. I guess, you know, getting in as an artist because of what you're capable of doing, and through a friend, a lot of times they cut a lot of
cut corners. Like, yeah, you don't need to do that. But like, I went in, I had portfolios too. Like, I knew like my basics in anatomy, perspective, like all that stuff. Like, I had those foundational like values before that.
Right.
So like that transition was, I don't want to say easy, but I was a little more comfortable with it. The biggest thing was like, holy fuck, I'm gonna touch people's skin and like fucking permanently alter their bodies.
It's amazing, like how freaked out with both of you. It's like how like the first time I held a machine and actually tattooed myself first, and didn't have a problem with it at all. The very first time I tattooed another person was a good friend of mine, and I was literally like shaking, like literally shaking. Like, what were you guys like at your
same
first?
fucking thing? I remember just sweeping the floor and being like, how the fuck am I gonna do this? And I'm nowhere near physically
Ready to
touching
do it
people.
yet.
I'm just cleaning shit off the ground, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna fucking do this.
What about you?
Oh, I was cool as a cucumber, dude.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Half a Vicodin set me straight. Didn't fuck me up where I couldn't do it, but just took those edge right off, man.
I guess being in that kind of environment.
Well,
it was plentiful.
It took the edge off of the first half you took.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's funny. After that, it almost becomes like, for me personally, I approached every tattoo with that same nervousness, because you just want to do the best job, and every single time the needle touches skin, you are concentrating on exactly every move that is happening in that fucking moment. But I will admit the fear is no longer there, because at this point now you're just like, no, you're going to do the best fucking job, because this is how it's got to be done, and you got to get better at this. And the only way you get better is if you get over all this bullshit and just do the fucking job correctly. And I think for me personally, it was just the very first time. And then after that, I never got freaked out. I only got freaked out if somebody passed, like the first time somebody passed out on me, I thought I killed the motherfucker. First time somebody had an allergic reaction, we used to use A&D ointment on the tattoos, and somebody had a fish oil reaction. Fucking eyes blew up and shit. Like, it was freaky.
Oh, fuck.
But for the most part, I don't think I ever got freaked out. You know what I mean? It never happened to you? Because, I mean, I know for a fact that a lot of younger tattooers, when you talk to them now, they go in there with no fear right out of the fucking gate. They don't give a shit. Especially now, I think, with the machines the way they run, I think that there's no fear of my contact point's dirty. I see a spark, or the tools are so fucking rudimentary at this point,
I've actually heard a lot through different clients that buzzing of the traditional tattoo machine kind of puckers people up and gets people like ready, like the anticipation for pain or whatever.
Right.
And since so many people switch to rotaries and it's a little more quiet now, I feel like maybe that has something to do with it, where people are a little more relaxed. And
I think that's a big deal, because I mean, what I've heard from a lot of people, and you would probably, or you would have to say it about him, because you're still using traditional coils and stuff. But a lot of people do say, like, what the fuck's up with all that noise? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Where before with us, it wasn't. That was just the way it is.
That's just
this
it,
is what
man.
a machine. This is what a tattoo is like. You know what I mean? But now, if you got one guy in the shop that runs a coil, everybody's just like,
what the fuck's he doing?
Well, it happened to me the other day. It was Jacob's client was like, "What do you got? Like a fucking chainsaw over there?" I'm like, "No, it's
just a fucking real tattoo machine, dude."
This is how men tattoo. This is what men use.
It's my vibrating man.
I'm gonna cut a fucking tree down after.
You guys can keep those fucking dildos. And I'm pretty certain you get it as a gift when you're done, because you get to pleasure yourself after the fact. But as far as with school and stuff, like, did you take a lot of? For me personally, as an artist, before getting into tattooing, I was an airbrush artist. I took that with me. Like I didn't look at things as trying to do tattoos. I looked at things as trying to create the art that I would do on paper and stuff, and slowly bring it into tattooing. So whenever I did even traditional tattoo flash, I would still kind of look at it as if I were airbrushing it or something like that. What mediums were you working in school?
It's it was a lot of like pen and ink. Like, I was big into microns.
Okay.
Like I love charcoal stuff like that. Watercolors too, like a lot of bright super colors, and like that's very reflective in like the flash I draw now. It's like neon colors, bright, flashy, like big, thick black lines. Like, I love that kind of stuff.
Right.
And like, I didn't really take away anything like technically from art school. It was more like the way you address your craft. Like,
Okay.
This is your craft. Fucking put everything you can into your craft.
Yeah, you keep saying like that was everything.
That was the biggest thing I learned was
about
just,
being professional and just bringing your A game every single time.
Sticking to your craft and just honing that in and making it better.
Right.
So like I can look at stuff I drew 10 years ago and look at stuff I drew now and be like, hey, that guy drew the same stuff. Like you can still see that,
right?
But it's more refined.
You can see that. You can see the difference in your work from then and now.
100%. Yeah.
That's cool. What about you? Because you're into this all this crazy dark shit now. Like, so were you about the black and gray? Were you about fucking the real dark metal kind of shit?
Always.
Always.
You know, I had to learn. Obviously, you have to learn how to lay color when you're starting out. You know, through your apprenticeship, and even the guy who taught me, he was like, "Dude, you're gonna change your mind." I was like, "Nah, dude. Like, I'm gonna do just black and gray. That's what I love." Nope. Just wait. You'll see.
Well, it's surprising.
20 years later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's so you got in a time where people could just get black. You could just get black and gray.
Yeah.
When I first started, when Jimmy first started, you kind of had to be a jack of all trades. You had to do everything, and for us, learning to do, you know, starting with little tattoos and then getting and then color black and gray, whatever, and then, you know, literally just doing whatever came in. You just got good at everything. Slowly, you got to create your own voice,
Right?
And then it eventually turns into, oh, that's my style. And then people are the ones that decided. For me personally, it was people that decided, no, you're only doing color. We love your fucking pinups.
Right.
Continue to get I want to get those. That's what I want from you. So it wasn't me that made that decision. I mean, I always loved that stuff, so it wasn't like it was a bad decision, but or a bad choice. But it was great to have people recognize that from me. Where you're literally just being like, no, I'm just doing black and gray. Fuck that shit.
Well, I mean, that's not the way. That's the way I went in my head. In reality, like, you know, you have to do the color and you have to do all these things until your client base actually kind of shifts over that way. But, you know, there's two ways to look at it. Do I want to sit there and wait for people to say, hey, you know, this guy's okay? Or do I take it upon myself? Because that's when MySpace and everything was popping out.
Right.
So if I don't post a lot of color and I post more black and gray, then more people are going to want black and gray. And slowly but surely I could start to push my schedule or my portfolio the way I want it to be.
Right.
But, you know, now it's a little different now.
Did you rely more on things like MySpace than say magazines? Like, again, like us coming in 30 something years ago, it was all about magazines, because a magazine could literally make or break somebody. You get an article in a magazine and people sought you out, and then you hit the road, you get even more of that. And that was before anybody knew what anybody looked like or whatever. Yep. You know what I mean?
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I did my due diligence sending picture packet upon picture packet upon picture packet to every magazine every month. Just kept flooding them and flooding them and flooding them and flooding them and hoping I'd get one picture in the back somewhere, you know, like in the discount tattoo section or something, you know. But it's kind of the way we were raised in it. That's how you got to push your game. You know,
so you got it at a time too that like magazines were, and they never were. They didn't get phased out, I don't think, until maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's when social media pretty much just took it all,
just blew it out of the water.
We were pretty much, because at that point everybody can get it in the moment. They don't need to wait 6 weeks for a magazine to come out. You know what I mean? Did you notice a big difference in the types of clients that you were getting via the internet? Was it more local, or was it people traveling? Or
I noticed that because of that, MySpace, you can kind of direct, MySpace and Facebook, you can kind of direct where you want it to kind of localize. So if I was doing a show in like Austin or something like that, I would run an ad out there, or I would start specifically trying to post out in that direction, right, so that when I did a show out there, you know, I wasn't just sitting there all weekend. Like, people would be like, oh shit, you know,
people might actually recognize the fact that you're from out of town or whatever.
Yep.
You know, you came in, obviously it's all fucking Instagram, Facebook, all that bullshit. None of it really, you're well after fucking MySpace even. Oh
yeah. I even remember like when Instagram first came out, we were talking about this the other day. When Instagram first came out, it was like art picture. Now I barely see art on Instagram.
Well, we were just talking about this earlier. There's the fact that, you know, it's the algorithm. We always go off on fucking
goddamn algorithm.
But it's about it, like, you don't have a choice anymore. It's like literally the algorithm and AI are making the decisions for us on what we see. Now, as creatives, I'd like to think that we have enough forethought to search out the things we want to see. You know what I mean? And kind of push back on what algorithms and stuff are doing to us. But I think our clients really don't, they don't give a fuck. They're just taking whatever comes their way, because that's what came across my board. So obviously I must like it. You know what I mean? And that's what freaks me out when styles and what's popular is no longer about tattooers. It's about what an algorithm is telling people is popular right now. It would be like if you had 3 really cool magazines, but Inked magazine had the biggest subscription rate, or not even subscription, but the biggest. That's the word I'm looking for. Like it just got out there further than anybody else. And I mean, we all know what Ink magazine's like. It kind of sucks. It caters to rock and roll and fashion and bullshit. And I mean, they're partially responsible for the little bitty fucking names and angel numbers and shit like that.
Right.
But it would be like if you went back in the day, that was the one that was deciding that stuff. Like, I mean, I do come from a time where an editor for a magazine could fuck you over, because it happened to me with International Tattoo magazine, because one of the editors there had an issue. I would always mail pictures to all the magazines, never got anything in the magazine in International at all. And it wasn't until like 6-7 years later that they called me up and asked for a piece, and I'd found out it was because there's an editor at the magazine that didn't like me. She was no longer there, and I'm being asked now to be part of the magazine. But the thing that didn't make me feel bad about it was, 6 other fucking magazines, dude, and they get more play than yours do. They may not be as nice of a magazine, they may not be as coveted as International was back in the day, but realistically, who fucking cares? Because all people cared about was getting that magazine, no matter what it was, off the shelf every 3 to 4 weeks, whichever magazine it was going to be. It was almost like they didn't know what magazines were which. All they knew is that there was a magazine with artists in it. They get to check it out.
Well, most of them were under one house anyway.
No, it's true. Actually, yeah, you're right. They were under one publisher, it was like Paisano.
There was like 1 or 2. There was a couple. There wasn't many, but they were all under those very few. So
I mean, I guess it can be said that no matter what I say about the algorithm and stuff, it's always kind of been like that. It's been kind of slightly social media driven, you know what I mean? But now it's 110 times more, and it's not a person that's making those decisions. It's not an art director making those decisions. It would be like the head guy from McDonald's deciding, we're not gonna put that in the we're not gonna put that out anymore because I just don't like what it looks like.
Well, I think that's the biggest problem, right? So when you have the magazines, you actually have a human being that's there that could be talked to and reasoned with or argued with and say, this guy's an asshole, so fuck them, I'm not gonna send them my pictures anymore.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have this guy with this vision who wants to put these magazines in a direction that he wants to put them. With the algorithms, I think that everybody's mistaken thinking that the algorithm is working. The algorithm is working for them.
Right.
The algorithm is not working for you. It shows you things that it wants you to see.
So do you want? So I don't know any of this stuff, and if anybody does, feel free to fucking put it in the comments. But I wonder what it is that drives that. I mean, we know full well that big business is behind almost everything. You know what I mean? We see that now. We see it happening with supply companies. You know what I mean? Supply companies are now run by conglomerates. They keep the guys who put that company on the map in the forefront, but those guys are now employees of these corporations. The corporations, and again, I may be mistaken, but the corporations are the ones that are pretty much fucking pulling the strings and making the decisions on the direction in which things are going. And the shame of that is no longer about tattooers doing stuff for tattooers, looking out for tattooing. It's about the corporation making its fucking money. And these cats that have sold out, to my knowledge, have made their money up front. So I don't think they really give too much of a shit about what it is that they're doing to the industry right now.
Do you think it's a coincidence that since all these algorithms are based on these huge corporations, that the sudden downturn in the tattoo industry could be reflective of the tattooing and corporate culture where it's frowned upon?
So, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't. I really don't think it is because of corporate culture coming into the business. I honestly think it's just that regular people have had so much shit shoved up their ass that they can't sit down no more. So wherever they get pushed, they just keep walking in that direction.
But if corporate culture is the one pushing people in that direction, they don't give a fuck about us as tattooers or tattoo culture.
Oh, I agree.
So we're way on the bottom of their algorithm list.
But no, I get that. But what do you? So therein lies the biggest issue. And
right.
This is why it's a bitch that we've become so reliant on social media is because we have no say. And it's corporations that are deciding, oh, you don't drink Coke no more, you drink Pepsi. You know what I mean? So they're able to steer things that way. But it's hard to say how you can steer tattooing in a way that the way I guess I can see you being able to steer it is when, you know, fucking Machine Gun Kelly or fucking some other fucking retard fucking, you know, rhythm pop artist gets a bunch of dog shit tattoos, and now, you know, corporations are going, oh, he's hot, put him on fucking camera, get his ass out there.
Justin Bieber.
Exactly. Oh God, yeah. But the thing that's crazy is you would imagine that someone would simply say, no, this tattoo sucked. But then you realize it was a guy like Bang Bang, who's the biggest corporate shill, who doesn't give a fuck about anything but the dollar and the cents. He's the one doing the tattoos. He's the one pushing the fucking narrative because he doesn't care.
No.
He just knows there's money to be made there, so fuck him. Bring it.
Right.
You don't have to let this shut completely, Jimmy. You're good. He's going up.
It's like, I'm out of here.
You know, yeah, I was gonna say it's getting. We started talking shit about Justin Bieber. You have to shut it. You can leave it. You can leave it crack. So it's one of those things. Like, yeah. So you're right. It is literally like, I think it's like those individuals who don't have good tastes. Like, you look at most pro athletes. 90% of pro athletes, and I might be wrong on that fucking thing. It might be 89%. But the 90% of those pro athletes are covered in dog shit.
Worst tattoos
Post Malone.
Yeah,
Post
exactly.
Malone.
You would imagine that there'd be one motherfucking person in their fucking in their circle.
Like who? The
That's
Rock,
just gonna be
who gets something done by Nico and has it covered up by somebody else? What the fuck is that?
and but that's my point. It's like how do you not have one motherfucking person that's gonna be like, dude, you got to go to my guy. Like, please go to my guy.
You'd think there would be.
But then again, I've seen the way, you know, regular people act around, you know, individuals that are musicians and stuff like that, because they literally lose themselves in just wanting to be around this person. And it's so fucking gay. It's like, dude, like, you're doing this person a favor. Like, fucking save that motherfucker. It's like taking somebody's keys away.
So on a side
before
note,
they jump in a car loaded.
Joe was sitting across from me at a convention, and he walked up to my booth, and I got a little bit of a gay moment. I was like, oh my God, here's Joe fucking Capo coming up to me. Who the fuck am I? But then he opened his mouth and that.
That was your fucking story. So I think that's gay as shit, personally.
It was, but it's the truth.
But that's what freaks me out about all that shit. And again, when we say stuff, people act like, oh, you're just fucking haters. No, that's a fucking horrible tattoo.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah,
you know?
But it's their style. That fucking argument when
okay.
something's bad and they go, well, that's just my style.
Okay, well, that's the problem with that is why we live in a world where there's something called ignorant style, which
shouldn't be called a style.
What the absolute fuck is that? Like, that's fucking
It's a cop
insane.
out. It's a fucking cop out.
But,
it's a participation award.
That's pretty good. I like that.
But the thing, you know what? You're right, because some fucking dopey prick is in his house, fucking, you know, marking up all their fucking friends, and then he gets out there and everybody goes, oh no, how cool is this? And again, maybe it is a point of there's a bunch of people out there that don't have the balls to simply go, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because they're so caught up in the moment of being like a fucking rebel. Or worse, thinking that they're being unique.
Yeah, getting tattooed just for the sake of getting tattooed, not because it's something cool that they like.
Or they don't believe it. How many people have you seen that come up with a dog shit tattoo and they compare it to something that you have? Yeah, look at mine now. How cool is mine? And you're like, do you not have fucking eyes, dude? Like, can you not see the difference between... This is a stick figure. This is the Mona Lisa. What the fuck are you doing?
And now, would you say that it's in the eyes of the beholder? Like, I mean, do you think there's any way to save the argument that...
No, because there's no difference. There's a fucking difference between a goddamn shack and a fucking mansion.
Okay, not everybody wants to live in a mansion.
Then that's fine.
But therein lies the argument. That's the argument that a lot of people have. I mean, the thing that gets me with it, personally, is what you just said. When somebody cannot see the difference between one and the... Like, something incredibly bad and something incredible... There's this one cat online, I'm not going to name him. Anybody who knows anything knows who I'm going to be talking about, and I don't want to give him the fucking credit of mentioning him by name. But he's been doing this thing where he's acting like he's being educational by showing off these horrid tattoos that these people are doing. And he's naming all these styles, all these horrible fucking styles. And when you look at the tattoos, even if they're under a fucking filtered fucking light, they're awful tattoos. Now, you could use the argument that, well, you know, man, if that were done properly, like I've seen cybersigilism done by a competent tattooer, and it does look good. Like, it's clean, it does have a thing, you know what I mean? It's like metal album
The rules
covers.
are in place.
Yeah, the metal album covers where
Yeah.
there's the drippy tribal, and I mean, you could make that look really good. Do I think those make good tattoos? No. 9 times out of 10, I think it's going to be like tribal from the 80s and 90s. It's basically like that. We all know that it all eventually turns to shit. It's only going to look so good. You can have a good tattooer do it, and it might be really clean for a really long period of time. But you still got a piece of fucking tribal from the fucking 80s, dude.
Yep.
And there's a good chance, unless you were a lazy motherfucker, you're going to get it covered up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's how I feel about the cybersigilism stuff, is even if it's done well, it's very dated. It's like all the motherfuckers getting blackouts. Like, you do realize we know exactly where you're from, and you're just some trending, dick-riding fucking knucklehead.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's like, well, Kat Von D's got it. Yeah, who fucking
Enough said.
cares?
Enough
The
said.
Daffy Broad had the fucking insane thought to cover up a bunch of really good tattoos because now she's Christian. Apparently, God can't see through black. I don't know. Or maybe he doesn't see color.
I don't know. He shouldn't,
That's good.
apparently.
That's a good one. That's a Bible bookmark right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
That's going to be problematic. But the thing that drives me crazy is, part of me in the back of my mind is going, okay, am I wrong? Is this shit that he's putting on screen talking up? Dude, he's naming guys. Oh, this guy works both in Los Angeles, New York, and London. Really? Because, like, who is letting him work in his shop? Is there an underground circuit of I go to my mom's away for the weekend. You can come to my parents' house and we can work in the basement all weekend.
He's got a fold-out couch I could tattoo you on.
Exactly. Is that the tour for underground fucking ignorant style cyber sigilum artists?
Well, it doesn't matter anymore. It's all like, and it all goes back to these Instagram and social media algorithms. If you're good on that, it doesn't matter because people are going to eat it up.
But that's the argument that I'm bringing up, is the fact that nobody's willing to listen to us because the moment we say something, it's basically like kicking puppies.
Yeah.
Because as much as we can simply sit back and go, this is fucking horrid, this person should have their hands broke, and when I say they should have their hands broke, I don't fucking mean it. I've never broken anybody's hand. Because everybody's going to be like, yeah, like you're going to break somebody's fucking... No, I'm not going to break somebody's hands. It's a fucking expression that used to matter.
So, again, I think this goes back to it, and I don't know, whatever. There is an epidemic in this society right now. So we sit down and we talk about, is it the economy? Is it this? Is it that? Is it social media? Is it this? Whatever. There's an epidemic of ignorance in society, not just in tattoo land, but everywhere. And I'm stopping there because I don't want to turn this into like a whole big thing.
No, well, it's hard not to.
It's hard not to, but it comes down to that, where people just, they're steadfast in their ignorance and they do not want to see or even hear anything with any type of reason or fact.
Yeah, and that's a big issue. Anything but that one, Jimmy, because that one, yeah, that's fine. Because that 120 proof is way too much.
This will be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, you're right. Again, I understand, and that's the problem. So, Paul Booth said something. Paul Booth said something to me or during his podcast, which really resonated in the sense that back in the day, up until probably 2009, 2010, things that happened in the real world never affected tattooing. Okay? So politics, you could have a goose-stepping Nazi in your fucking chair. He kept his fucking mouth shut most of the time, unless he was in a shop that's what they did.
That accepted it and promoted that
But
shit,
for
right?
the most part, they kept their mouth shut. Everybody did their own thing. If somebody said something to you 9 times out of 10, you just kind of like, okay, cool,
You shut it down. Yeah,
we're good.
Yep.
And you just kept going.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But now, I think what's happening is everything that's happening outside of here, Your clients are coming in with it. You've got all these new age tattooers. And again, I'm not knocking somebody who's been doing this for less than fucking 10 years, 15 years, as being fucking a bunch of pansies who don't know, what side of the fence they stand on. I do that. I'm pretty certain we're going to get canceled. But it's like they don't know what side of the fence they should stand on. They're always jumping. I mean, COVID was one of those things that let everybody know who people were. Like you said, there were people walking around trying to shut people down. There were tattooers that were basically talking shit about anybody who was tattooing. You're part of the fucking problem. You know what, man? Just mind your own fucking business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When there's like a hepatitis breakout or some other horrible fucking thing, then yeah, man, I'll take responsibility because I did something stupid because I'm fucking an idiot. That's it. I'm not going to say I'm a free-thinking human. No, I'm doing whatever I can to keep my fucking head above water. That's it. You know what I mean? But I think that's the problem is like all these things, all these different people. I mean, individuals that probably wouldn't have made it through a fucking apprenticeship.
No.
Somebody who wouldn't have had the balls to walk into a tattoo shop and say, "Hey man, I'm looking to get an apprenticeship. Are you taking apprentices?" Because you know as well as I do, one of the worst things you could possibly do is cold call a shop and you go, "You guys taking apprentices?"
No.
Because 9 times out of 10, we're going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
It's not true. I just tell people no, it's not how you do it. But the fact is, it's like they don't even have that balls. Those balls. So now all these people are now they're the ones that are basically making the fucking rules or following the trends that we are looking at and going, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Dude, it infuriates me. I pushed and kept asking for my apprenticeship for 4 fucking years. And you get these little assholes, "Hey, can I have an apprenticeship?" No. Well, okay, well, I'm going to go on Amazon and learn some shit off YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll open up my own shop.
But we saw all that happening during COVID, I think.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's the start of it, sure.
I think it started maybe just slightly before COVID, but COVID really, it DIY'd the fuck out of anything. People were building houses, they're learning how to make fucking sourdough bread, they're fucking, they're learning how to make tacos traditionally, like everything that they could possibly do in their 4 walls, they were fucking doing. And tattooing, you would have imagined, would have been like up there with dentistry.
The only thing they're not doing, and I'm gonna edit my previous statement about that. So, along with ignorance, there is a severe lack of respect, and respect in the tattoo industry is gone.
I think a lot of it too. And I hate to speak off the camera and things like that. But
Speak up if you're gonna speak.
Well,
this is Jimmy, by the way, talking.
When you're talking about with Paul's statement that was a long time ago, you're talking about a time where shops held accountability. There's no accountability nowadays. When you were in a shop, there was a reason why we kind of bragged about we were the pirates or something like that. It really wasn't saying that we were trying to rob and steal from people. What it meant is the fact that you held your own law and government inside of your studio. If someone came in, like people now have to put up these signs like, "This is a safe place." Well, in a tattoo shop, everyone was a safe place until you fucked up, and then you were held accountable for it.
Well, right. It wasn't even a matter of...
Again, there was people who came in, and, we all came from shops that partied, and there were people that, we still smoked in tattoo shops, and shit, when I started, it was nothing to tattoo without gloves. You say that shit now, and all of a sudden people they got to call, we got to get a hold of fucking DC and tell the president they're being dirty. Let's hold a rally and a parade in front of the shop.
Let's burn some sage.
Yeah, But then you had a guy that came into the shop. It was almost like hockey, like you had an enforcer.
Yeah.
There was guys that was like, you came in the shop, you were disrespectful. There was nothing there was a point where it was like, you had a sense of humor. Some people said something a little off-putting, but you know where it came from. Then there was points where it's like someone was coming and being very disrespectful. The owner of the shop or someone in the shop was like, "All right, hey man, here's your one warning. Mind your P's and Q's, or here's your one chance to leave." That was your opportunity. And when that didn't go that way, it did not go your way.
Well, I think
in those days of those shops, it's not that those don't exist. It's like when everyone's like, "Oh no, dude, that's a shitty shop. Those guys are shitty." It's like, not really. It's just, again, if you're coming in with disrespect, don't be upset or offended or call a lawyer because you got called out or punched in the mouth because of it. Again, everyone's like, internet's this, that. It's like people aren't allowed to have an opinion anymore. It's like, I'm not saying that anything I've ever said has to be gospel. But what I'm saying is I speak from a term of what I've experienced And it's like, I'm not saying what this is, like how it had to be now. We're just telling you how it used to be, so you get an understanding of like why we're so passionate and why we hold things so sacred to ourselves because of the things we had to do to get through it. Now again, people are like, well, yeah, you're bitching because it's not like that anymore. It's like, I'm not bitching about that. It's because you have to understand of what we did, that we actually put the legwork in to get to know this kind of information. To where nowadays, you don't have to do shit other than look at your phone, order it online without a care in the world, without any kind of legwork, without any kind of like, not even just monetary money value, the time we put in. How many times did you go to that shop to tell them, I want an apprentice, I want an apprentice, I want an apprentice? To where they finally like, this guy put the legwork in, he gave us the effort, now we see you're not full of shit. As opposed to now, it's like, you tell somebody who's like, hey, my 16-year-old's got a, likes art, I bought him all this Amazon equipment, teach him. You're like, no. And all of a sudden, you get 100 bad reviews, and they got to call their friends to leave you a bad review. This shop isn't cool, they're racist, they're this, they're that. And you're like, because I told you that your minor shouldn't be a tattoo artist right now, and all of a sudden, I'm the bad guy. And you do that, and all of a sudden, it's like you have this bad reputation. Back then, try that with one of the guys I apprenticed under. I guarantee you, woman, male or not, you came in that disrespectful, you were going to get the repercussions of it. And that's not saying nowadays, like, oh, so you would hit a woman? You're like, you want to talk about equal opportunity? You want to come in and talk to a man like a man, then guess what? He's going to treat you like a man.
Sean Connery said it was okay.
The worst part about everything he just said, not even the worst part, the best part about everything you just said, is exactly what I was saying about letting people to make the decisions for us. You know what I mean? Like Jimmy was saying, like you as a shop owner made sure that people felt safe in your shop. If somebody came into that shop, God forbid, some crackhead rolls into your shop, that could happen to anyone.
Yeah, who gets up to handle it?
Exactly. So somebody needs to make sure that everybody's taken care of. Like in every shop that I've ever worked in, nobody was ever discriminated against. Doesn't matter what. Now, granted, things may be talked about in the back fucking room, and I'm going to go out on a limb
and that's our opinion.
And again, not only that,
and we keep
I'm
it to
going to go
ourselves.
out on a limb and say, and that's why back rooms existed.
Yep.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I don't give a fuck what 90% of what safe spaces have to say. Chances are there's a back room there too, and everybody's going to have a problem with somebody some way. It's human nature.
They wait.
It's human nature. Well, so
as soon as that person's door is open, they start talking shit amongst themselves because they don't fucking care. Because there's no respect anymore, and there's no accountability.
So we will get back to the respect, but I think from the standpoint of safe spaces, that's something that's a I don't want to say it's a facade because that would be putting people down, and I don't mean to do that, but I think that is something that they put up front to let people know that, hey man. Because I know for a fact that there have been rumors about people that I fucking know that, safe space, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, really? Because I've heard some horrible shit about you. And some of the stuff that you've had to say and some of the things you've done. So shut the fuck up. And that's all I have to say is just shut the fuck up. Like, stop. Don't talk. There's no soapbox you need to stand on. Just shut the fuck up. From the respect standpoint, yeah, you're right, dude. Respect has gone out the fucking window. But I also came into this business where I had a guy that did not give it and expected to receive all of it. And again, I understand where you're coming from with the, hey man, I brought you into this business. I'm like, first of all, I got asked to be brought into this business. I didn't pursue it. Okay, so it's a bit different for me, and I have a different, and also I'm me. I'm an asshole. I've got a big fucking mouth.
Really?
It's just a bit.
I didn't know that.
But the fact of the matter is, like, I am a firm believer in you got to give it to get it, man. So
100%.
I do believe that respect word gets thrown around a lot. And again, the further we go down the line, the harder that word doesn't have a lot of meaning anymore.
No, it doesn't.
And it's not just because people aren't giving it, but it's also they're not giving it. They're not getting it.
People don't know the meaning of it anymore. I don't think they really understand what it is anymore.
I think it's just, to me, it's always been just treat people good, man. Like, we were asked, how do you gain respect in this business? And my response has always been, you treat people the way you want to be treated. If you want to be treated like a douchebag and whatnot, then by all means, be a fucking asshole. But by the way, you're going to find yourself on the low rung of the fucking ladder every single time. If you want to surround yourself with those people, that's what I'm saying about certain shops. They attract a certain type of people, like biker shops. You know what I mean? Like, then it's a real pissing contest, and you better know what you're fucking doing.
Right.
Because if you can't work in a real shop with regular people, you're welcome to that place, dude.
Yeah, good luck.
And you can say all you want about respect then, because you're gonna get it.
Yep.
You know, if you know. So it is a crazy fucking thing. And again, I get it, man. Respect. I think a big thing that everybody complains about is respect for your elders, in a sense, because there's a big world and there's a lot of history in this business. And most people coming into the business now, because they came in through the back door, or because they just walked through the front door because someone left the fucking door ajar, you know what I mean? Or you had some guy who apprenticed you and 9 other people that month, half of which walked out, but now they're still tattooing.
Yep.
Like the rules have been loosened so much that nobody gives a fuck no more, dude.
No.
And that's the other big deal. They don't know that there are people who are older than them doing this business. They just assume that whatever, dude. Like they're probably dead. You know what I mean? Like they don't care about what the people did. Like what Jimmy said, we paved the road. Guys before us, 15, 20, 30, 50, 100 years before us, paved the fucking road. And you have to give those people a certain amount of fucking respect in the sense that they deserved it, man. If it weren't for them, where the fuck would you be?
Well, that's I think that's part of the societal problem now is it's okay to be a cunt. It's okay to say, well, I don't care. That was their problem. They had to deal with it, not me.
As long as you don't call said person a cunt.
I didn't do that. It was just a general
No,
blanket
but that's my
statement.
point. That's the problem with this. You act in a certain manner, and when you're called out, people act like, what the fuck? Who do you think you are? Like, dude, I talk a lot of shit. I speak my fucking mind. If somebody, we were just telling you the story about fucking, what's his name, Tony. At least he had the balls to call me directly.
Right.
And then I get to answer directly.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like nowadays people act and say things and then they can't believe they're being called out. I mean, we see that online all the fucking time. People and we see it being hidden all the fucking time. People do certain horrible things, and then when they get called out, they're like, whoa, 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 what the fuck?
Yeah.
But this is another two-edged sword, man, because now you're going back. Imagine, like I grew up watching fucking All in the Family.
Same.
You know what I mean? Could you imagine, being like, oh, you watch All in the Family, you fucking bigot?
Dude, any of those, Sanford and Son, All in the Family, the Jeffersons, they wouldn't fly today.
But
none of it would.
No, which is amazing that it's slowly being dripped back down into social media, which leads me to believe that again, while the algorithm is not a person, it is somebody. And this is where it goes back to my firm belief that AI is like the Terminator. It is here to fucking kill us. It cares nothing for humanity.
Is it being dripped down in the algorithm, or is it being dripped down just to you and me? Because our phones listen to what we're saying and what we're talking about, and that's what it's figuring it wants to show us because it is steering us in a direction.
Yeah. And when we say it, we mean AI. No, I'm just kidding.
Dun, dun, dun.
But yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right. And that's the crazy thing about it. My whole thinking is if we can take a little bit back, and this is the one thing that everybody comes at us as, and they'll be like, well, that's just the way it is, motherfucker. If you can't fucking catch up, step out of the fucking way. And I'm like, dude, do you not realize that us belly aching about the shit that's happening right fucking now is for your future as well? This isn't just us trying to spend a little bit more time in the sun. This is us making sure the sun don't go out for your stupid ass. Because not for nothing, we've had 33 fucking amazing years. What have you had? 5?
Yeah.
10?
What do you think your next 20 years are going to be like?
Exactly.
You're going to be in the same position we are, probably tenfold worse.
Exactly. When you've got a lot of these guys who are pushing for MOCRA and all the stuff that's happening with pigments and stuff like that, who are against... Then there are guys that are against these conglomerates coming into the business, taking over these corporations. They're not doing it because they lost something. Some of them may have. Some of them may have lost businesses because of these corporations. But a lot of them are doing it because they just see how wrong it is, how much different it is from back in the day, and how out of control, out of our hands it is. And they're not doing it just for them right fucking now. They're doing it for all you young cats out there who think that you don't fucking need them. You don't need fucking, you don't need fucking guide rails. You don't need side rails. Dude, fuck it. We're just going. They got our best interest in mind. Dude, they do not. All these big corporations that are coming in here, they don't give a fuck about you. If you're sponsored by one of these guys, if you're sponsored by one of the big three, congratulations. Let's see how long it lasts. That's all. That's it. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's real, and I don't think that any of these people realize that when people fight, like shout out against it, it's not just for them and theirs. It's gonna be for everybody, and that's a big thing. And that's, I think, one of the issues I have with what's happening is, and this is humanity again. Like this isn't just this industry. This is the world. I mean, people just suck now, man. It's tough.
Well, I mean, it's like
you surround yourself with people.
Yeah, it's the softening down of society in general. I mean, we could look at our grandparents, or whatever, and say they're the greatest generation. Why? Because they persevered, they figured shit out. No matter how bad, no matter how rough it was, they did what they had to do. They pulled their fucking pants up and did what the fuck they had to do. And now you have these newer guys coming up that if it's not done for them with this instant gratification, what do? They go online and cry. Dude, that's not going to get you anywhere, and that's what we're trying to tell you. You need to think outside the box and dig down deep and hustle and do what you have to do.
But here's the thing. I think that they can surround themselves with individuals that are just like them. And because, I mean, if you want to say mob mentality, they have a huge mob. They may not act like a mob. You know
well, I mean, that's an isolationist mentality, and that's not good. I mean, like anybody who wants to have a rational conversation knows that having one-sided conversation with like-minded individuals doesn't perpetuate anything.
Yeah, but dude, if you're going to go down that road, that's the world we live in right now. I mean, that's politics. That's fucking. That's
the problem.
Everything.
That's the problem. It's okay to have difference of opinion. You need to explain yourself and be open to understanding. So instead of calling us a bunch of grumpy old bastards, sit down and be like, "Hey, dude, like, why?"
He's like, "I don't want to say this, but you're a bunch of."
I fucking get it all goddamn day, every day.
I mean, granted, you're young and you're more into the traditional style of tattooing. You came here to get tattooed by me today, which is, like I said, you've only got 10 years under your belt. Kudos to you for knowing who I am. That's great, man. Most people don't.
I think it's more of a shock the other way around.
In what way?
That people don't know who you are. Because he was like, the way he was telling me before, he's like, yeah, whenever you want to get tattooed by him, let's fucking get in the car, go up and see him. I'm like, isn't he like busy or anything? I'm like, I would have assumed. You know what I mean? Like,
and therein lies the rub.
I'm like, I understand. Like, I understand why I'm so. I'm like, I'm fucking who gives a shit, you know, in Milford, Pennsylvania. But like, my God.
Well, I think that's one of the things I think too, and this is getting down. Maybe I mean we don't have to talk about this, but it is one of those things that a lot of people are slow. And a lot of people are hurting, and people you don't expect to. And I think because of social media, it has created this this illusion that individuals are still crushing it. And again, I'm not saying that there aren't. I mean, I know for a fucking fact there are people that are still doing amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that's one of the things. Like, I've been given shit because I speak like this in public forums, and people are just like, dude, just keep it to yourself. I'm like, no. What I think should be kept to themselves is when you start talking about how much money you charge an hour, what your fucking day rate is. You know what I mean? When you start talking shit about, like, you know, certain styles of tattoo, which we're doing right now. But when there's certain things I think that, especially the business side of things.
Well, it's like a social etiquette, right?
Exactly. I think that the business side of things, like, should be kept, lid should be kept on it. Because the fact of the matter is, when we were coming into this, it was always the fear of the government finding out. You know what I mean? Yep. And then Mario Barth, decades ago, goes and gets on Inc. magazine, not Inc. like INC dot magazine, and there's a picture of him coming off a plane, and it's like he's play acting like it's his jet. You know what I mean? And the thing that freaked me out about that, and it freaked everybody. I was in San Jose at the time doing a convention, and everybody was like, "What the absolute fuck?" This is still in a day and age when people are using fake names because either they have one name for fucking to declare taxes on. The other one is what they just use to open a bank account, whatever. Right. You know what I mean? But this is happening, and people are just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Shut the fuck up. Like, these are, and again, a lot of the guys from our generations before us, I mean, these are guys who are turning, money into bullion and burying it in their fucking yard. I'm not saying it's the smartest thing to fucking do, but I guarantee every one of those motherfuckers died happy.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
You know what I mean? Because realistically, I mean, I know a lot of old school tattooers that did all that shit, and they're fine. I mean, they're fine. They're dead, but they didn't die alone in a fucking in a old folks home. on fucking welfare.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They had family around them. They had money still. Like, and again, not that everybody. That's an exaggeration, obviously. But I do know quite a few that did very well at the very end because they were smart about the way they ran their business. We live now where everybody's got to dude, motherfuckers showing nothing but cars, watches, and fucking motorbikes and fucking and boats and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then you got guys out there that are telling like all these fucking wannabe influencers telling people like, well, you know, man, your clients they want to live like you. Well, dude, they ain't. They're never gonna live like me because I have what I have. They have what they have. Like if watching me on the internet fucking showing off watches that I'm gonna have to hawk next month because I don't make money anymore, how is that a good thing? And that's my whole thing. Just shut the fuck up.
That's not what the people want now. They want to live this imaginary life, and if they can't live it, they want to be part of it. So they look at you or as tattooers as the rock stars. We're not fucking rock stars, dude. We're fucking regular people trying to scrape by in a fucking bullshit industry that went down the fucking toilet.
But that's the problem with that, is the fact that it creates this facade, this bullshit,
Sure.
lets everybody know. So now, the worst part is, the fucking hacks, the guys working in their fucking basement, I don't think they got into it because they thought they were going to make scads of money. The guys doing cyber sigilism, I don't think they got into it because they thought they were going to make a fucking bank. I think they got into it because it was just a fucking dumb thing to do that their parents wouldn't dig on, that was something kind of rebellious. You know what I mean? It's either that or fucking Nintendo all night. Like, there was something else there. Which, not for nothing, I give them a bit more credit for.
I'm going to disagree with you wholeheartedly on that one.
You think it's a money thing?
I do, because the past couple of years, I've had multiple people come to me for apprenticeships over, varying ages, 16 all the way up to, late 20s. And, okay, first question, why do you want to do this? Oh, I can make a good living on it.
Oh,
you motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here.
Do you remember, we had someone come in and she goes, I want an apprenticeship. We didn't immediately kick her out. We're like, oh, so like, what are you thinking? Like, what's your, whatever. How often do you draw? I draw every day. She goes, I don't draw at all. I couldn't tell you the last time I drew something.
Christ.
And I go, well, then this is the job for you. So it's like,
yeah. Why do you want to do it? Oh, well, I can make a good living at it.
Dude, it's funny because when I got into it, like, the guy chased me down for over a year. And it was mainly because I didn't know I could make a living at it. Now, granted, this is 92 into 93. I didn't know I could make a living at it. I could not afford to apprentice because I knew apprenticeship was part of it. And I had bills. I had a car payment. I had rent. And, I just couldn't do it. It worked out that I was able to make all that work because of things that happened in the rest of my life. And looking back on it, it's amazing. But my first year I did well. My second and third year, I went to work at Lotus, where I went from a busy established shop to a fucking brand new, nobody knows who the fuck you are, who cares, shop. And we started from the ground up again. And to be honest, I'm glad I did it. I would never do it differently again. Like, I absolutely fucking loved my, I've loved my entire career, minus, the some of the pitfalls we're going through now. But even still, I don't think I would trade. I don't think I would change anything. But again, I've never seen that's not true. I guess there have been people in here that I know they're here because they think they can make money. But again, that's our fucking problem. That's our fault. We're telling people, this is how much I'm charging. Now, when you're telling people on social fucking media what your day rate is, or how much you charge an hour, or what fucking a back piece costs, these are things, and again, this is part of training clients. And I know that sounds fucking awful because you're like training a fucking dog.
How about educating clients?
Okay, good. That's better. That's a more polite way of putting it. More educating clients. But the fact of the matter is, when they know the only way they're going to know how much a tattoo is going to cost them is to come and talk to the artist directly. To make that connection, that actual connection. Now we get people texting the shop. Yeah, how much does this cost? How much is this? Like, literally, how much is the sleeve? That doesn't happen as often as you would imagine, but it does happen. But for the most part, they don't want to even seriously even consider talking to us until they know whether or not they're going to want to even pay what we're asking. And we're reasonable as fuck compared to a lot of shops around here.
So now, do you think that it's just some people are definitely price shopping. That's a given. But how many times have you looked at somebody's tattoo and it's fucking amazing, and you're like, man, I wonder how many hours went into that and how much that cost? Because with all these shows, these tattoo shows, these fucking cocksucker tattoo shows, you know, it fucking, like, people seem to think that you can get like a sleeve or a whole chest piece in a fucking hour because they did it on TV.
Yeah.
And that's not realistic. So I think that sometimes in some situations I've thought about, you know, how much is this actually, like, how many hours did this piece take? Like, looking at it from a professional standpoint, like, all right, that's at least 15, 20 hours. But
and how often do you think that in the back of your head, and you ask the person and they go, well, this is like 48 hours and it's like a tattoo this big?
That has happened as well. Yeah. That has happened as well.
Well, I mean, that's happened with tattoos that I wear. I've gone to tattooers and they see something that they've done and they're like, oh, who did that? And I tell them. And they're like, how long do you work on that? I was like, oh, that's X amount of time. I'm not going to say anything because anything I say is going to give away what tattoos I'm talking about. And they're just like, really? What do you spend that much time on? And you're just kind of like, you know what, man?
I like it.
Everybody tattoos differently. No, I look at it from the perspective of everybody's got a different way of tattooing.
Yeah.
That's just his thing. That's his jam, dude.
Within reason.
Exactly. But there are people that come in here and they you know, we ask them, it's like, wow, it's a really nice tattoo. It's like, you know, how much time you got in that? Where'd you get it done? Blah, blah, blah. And they'll tell us. And again, I will admit, it's morbid curiosity is why I'm asking.
Sure.
Also, an actual want to know who did the tattoo and an idea of, like, they're local. I want to know what everybody else around us is charging.
It's a gauge for yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
would you say, for us personally here, dude, tattooers don't talk to one another anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? They very rarely are out there, like, you know, play acting to being polite. I mean, granted, I also came into a time where you did not go to another shop.
Oh, no.
I was the beginning of a generation where if somebody happened, if tattooers or clients from another shop came in, they were heavily tattooed, Civ and I were just kind of like, oh, shit. And we were up in the front room being like, oh, dude, who did your fucking arm? Blah, blah, blah. And this is the day and age of bikers. A lot of, because the shop we were in, there was a lot of bikers in that area. And these motherfuckers would be like, what the fuck, dude? They'd be like freaking the fuck out. Like, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, oh, dude, who did your arm, man? Like, that's fucking amazing. That's super cool. And they'd be like, and then they would be like, oh, you're really
take it down a little bit.
Yeah. And then they come to, because they've never had anybody be excited. Because they're, I mean, again, 93. They're looking at it, and people are afraid of them.
I remember going to conventions where fucking tattooers would have fucking paper over their ink bottles because they didn't want you to see what the fuck ink they were using.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or they'd pour it into a fucking empty bottle, so you know it's their fucking secret.
I mean, they're doing it because they're not allowed to use those pigments anymore. But that was the thing. That's a different day and age where it's like we were excited. I think we were the beginning of that opening the blinds a little bit.
Yeah.
And being like, you know, man, like, that's fucking amazing. And these guys are no longer being looked at as outlaws. Their tattoos are actually being looked at as fucking cool fucking tattoos and cool art eventually. You know what I mean? Where I think now it's all being approached as art. Let's get off of the shit. Well, we're going to still shit talk, obviously. But from that jump, we're going to go from, like, the artists, like the fucking has-been fucking, you know, ignorant style tattooers, to the difference between, like, art. Like, you're doing black and gray, kind of like fine line, not fine line, but black and gray. You're not realism. You're kind of more of like just a horror kind of, no, like a horror guy, like kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I love doing the horror stuff.
But
yeah.
like, so when you're looking at that, and then you look at some like traditional stuff, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between those two. One is definitely like they both are tattoos, obviously,
right?
And they both have their place in tattooing. But you do have a lot of guys that are like. Jimmy and I were talking about this. I don't think we talked about it on camera, but we talked about a lot of traditional tattooers that look at like they're just bad tattooers. They're not good tattooers. They're just bad. So they can't do what you're doing, and they immediately gravitate towards traditional. And they look at it from the perspective of like, yeah, that's what fucking trad's supposed to look like, whatever. And Jimmy's just like, nah, dude, that's just a bad fucking tattoo.
Yeah.
I don't care what you call it, traditional, fucking neo-trad, fucking ignorant style. Bad tattoo is a bad tattoo, and that's something that should be said. Like when we say ignorant style is fucking a bad tattoo, cyber sigil, usually it's a bad tattoo. Traditional, Japanese, Americana, what the fuck ever. Bad tattoo is a bad tattoo.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And that's something I think that a lot of people don't necessarily talk about, you know?
So what you're talking about is the basic fundamental rules of tattooing and the people that don't adhere to them?
Yeah. And oh my God! let's not just say don't adhere to them, but are incapable. And a lot of those people, like, it's very rare that you find somebody sit back and go, "Yeah, you're just not good, dude." But the crazy thing is that's become a thing unto itself. Bad traditional has become a thing unto itself, and I know it's going to offend a shit ton of people, but what the fuck ever, dude? I don't care. But that's a thing unto itself. There's a lot of like people that, you know, we're talented, we're big names that are just banging out these fucking tattoos, acting like, man, that's fucking killer. And they have a huge audience. Well, this is definitely going to not go over well. But they have a huge audience of people that are just like, that's fucking amazing.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, him doing that does not open the floodgates for every fucking simpleton shithead who cannot fucking pull a fucking straight line or fill a fucking a solid field of color and then fade it out correctly to do that because that's now the new style. Do you have an idea? Like what I'm talking about?
It's like having a judge on a tattoo show that's covered in bad tattoos.
I hope Dave Navarre doesn't watch that.
He was on a show before I was.
He was the judge.
Yeah, it's true. Although we had a regular person on
okay,
our show,
sorry.
so we had a model, and although the difference between
I just spoke whatever I needed to say. I wasn't told
the difference between the show that I did was our host was a host. They weren't a judge. And I'm not trying to defend it. I really am not. I mean, again,
I'm just saying, if you're a judge, then you should at least have good fucking tattoos on you, is all I'm saying.
Well, but
you're going to sit there and fucking talk shit like about fucking Jimmy coming up there and putting his work. Dude, look at the work you have on you, Holmes.
But again, like, you don't think, this is things are out of control. Things are off the fucking, you know, it's off the charts in the sense that none of it makes any fucking sense.
It doesn't. It just doesn't make sense.
But I think
Jimmy's going to say something.
Glasses are coming off.
Well, no, not that I need to defend fucking tattooing things, but
You can roll up a tiny bit.
so the reason why I did the show was the same reason a long time ago is the reason why I defended tattoo magazines. And I've said this to a lot of people. A lot of times, tattoo magazines needed to make money, like everything else. We found a way that, you know, there was only maybe one to maybe two different, you know, magazines that started out that even produced or showed tattoos in it. And then the popularity of tattooing grew, so did marketing in itself. We also grew in artists and people who got into it, also along with collectors. And you know, with anything like that is, people are going to find a way to make a living with it or make a living from it.
Right.
Tattoo magazines were a big thing to us when, in a part of my beginning of my career. It's like that was like our Bible. We wanted to see because there wasn't the internet, there wasn't you know your phone where you could talk to someone on the other side of the damn planet within a split second of a time. You wanted to know something, you went to the bookstore, you waited for that magazine to get put out, you bought it, you looked through it, you found out what was the next big thing. If you wanted to get tattooed, you went to the town over or the state over, you jumped in your car, drove across country, or you bought a plane ticket and flew across around the world. Because that's what was showing you what was really going on. And those people became really good. And then a lot of that comes down with, because of the flooding and stuff like that, of everyone getting into it, where a lot of the entitlement comes, a lot of people really started, you know, just sending whatever the hell they can in there. And a lot of artists, you know, kind of got watered down a little bit. And then magazines were like, well, fuck it, I'm not really putting it in there. You know, it became more of a politic thing where it's like, no, because he posted that guy, fuck him, fuck that magazine. So people shunned tattoo magazines. And then it became a thing where tattoo magazines were trying to make a living. They produced and showed what they could. And granted, a lot of times, so the quality of that work and trying to keep up with supply and demand, the quality of them printing stuff went lower, and the quality of what they were doing also went lower as well. But it was like, you still looked in there and still got, you know, like, oh shit, there is still good stuff in here. A lot of people would come to me and, man, fuck tattoo magazines, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, cool, would you send them? Fuck, I ain't send them nothing. I'm like, well, if you think that you're so much better than them, help them out. Show people out there that are trying to get into it what a proper tattoo should look like. Do your part, you know? And if you didn't do anything like that, it's like, well, really, what do you got to say about it? And I looked at tattoo, you know, TV shows as like at the beginning when it first came out, I thought it was about the actual art because to me that's what tattoo magazines.
That's the way they made it look.
Like art. That's what they made it look
right.
like. Now being on TV, I learned a whole fucking different thing. That's why you'll never see me be on there again, because of how I left off of there, and no one ever sees it, what actually goes on in these shows, behind the scenes and everything else. Like everyone else that watches this shit on TV and believes it is the same thing that people think they get all their education from, and all their politics is from a 2-second clip off their phone, and now they know fucking everything.
Yep.
You know, the internet never lies, TV never lies, you know. How many times I've had people approach me to tell me about the show that I was on, and want to tell me like, oh, you said this or you did this, and I'm like, let me tell you what really happened, you know. But after a while, you just get really tired and burned out. I'm like, you know, you're fucking. If you're this silly to believe what reality shows is like, that's what really fucking happened. You're like, there's no point for me to try to help you get through this far.
But again, that's the problem.
But
That's what we're saying about it's not real world. It's not real world shit.
But what I was, you know, I took the scenic route to try to get to this answer. Is the fact that you have these people that, you know, I said like, hey, I stuck up and I stood by like tattoo magazines.
Yeah.
Like, look, man, I want
You
tattoo magazines.
put real work out there.
I still collected tattoo magazines. You know, it's like I still look through them to this day. We every once in a while we'll break them up like, oh shit, I remember this. Remember this convention? And you go back and you kind of reminisce. You know, that was like our thing back then. It was a more of a nostalgic thing for me. Not everyone's going to listen to vinyl records. Not everyone's going to listen to that. But there's still people who appreciate those things for a specific reason. Whether it be something you grew up with or just like you have an appreciation for it because of music and stuff like that. I like looking at tattoo books. I like looking at Flash. I love that shit because it's a part of the nostalgia for me. Doesn't mean that I know everyone's not going to look at it that way. But when I looked at, you know, when I looked into these tattoo shows, and, you know, I did talk to Dave a lot, and I talked, you know, and I knew Chris and Oliver before the show ever, you know, was a show and stuff like that. I've seen how that stuff all went. And you also see, like, they're not in control of that shit. It's just a job to them. When I looked at it, like, I approached it because I looked at it for the love of tattooing. They're making it for the love of ratings. And I'm sure they got caught up in it as well. And like everything else, what they started with, those judges aren't shifted there anymore anywhere else. You talk to some of these other judges, you know, off screen, they have a whole different opinion of what you think the show is too. They're going to give you all that other kind of stuff. I went on that show because I thought, like, look, I've been in this long enough. They're talking about all these different styles or something like that. They're always shitting on fucking New School. And I'm like, dude, those two guys started out as New School artists. I remember when those guys were apprentices. And that, you know, being, you know, learning from Frank Lee and all those guys, and, you know, learning from all the, you know, people in Texas and, you know, and down in Miami and in Brazil and everywhere else, you know. Dave was a host. He got the deal because he was a rock star. He had tattoos. He got started getting tattooed when he was 12 years old. When we were 12 years old, like, you didn't think about tattoos then. He did like anyone else that was growing up in fucking LA. He was in a fucking band. It wasn't like there was a million different fucking great artists around. He just got tattooed. You look at any of the old school magazines that were like when we put up Metalhead and all those other things, none of those guys really had amazing work. There was cool tattoos. We looked at it like, oh shit, you know, having 3 or 4 tattoos on your arm, you thought you were tattooed as fuck. You know, remember looking at Henry Rollins going, oh my god. You look at him now, you're like, dude, that's like a soccer dad's tattoo. Like, no one gives a shit. But back then, that was like mind-blowing stuff. And Dave got tattooed when he was like 12 years old and all that shit. He's covered in garbage stuff, but like anything else, we all got garbage shit on us. You know, he was not coming from a standpoint of like what he said was good. Most of that shit was like, look, man, Dave, you're in a fucking rock band. You were a part of it. Here's what we're going to tell you. Fucking say the thing so it looks good. Most of the time, if you ask any of those judges or any one of those contestants to say something, they're not fucking speaking from a tattoo standpoint. They're speaking from a television entertainment standpoint. So a lot of that shit now is like when I'm not looking at it from the same way.
I think
Joe, you quit the show for that exact same reason.
No.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're gonna have somebody in there that's gonna represent being a judge as a tattoo or tattoo judge, right? Do you think that glorifying and putting someone of that kind of caliber, because yeah, he's a rock star and he did all this shit, nobody could take that away. You have this guy that's covered in all these bad tattoos. Do you think that kind of perpetuated the scene of where we are now, where these kids think it's okay to do bad tattoos because this guy's a judge on Ink Master? He knows what he's talking about because they don't know it the way you know it. They know it from an audience perspective.
Well, it comes from again, we're in a subjective industry.
Right.
You know, it's not to say, you know, you don't have to like this style, but you got to like this style or anything. You like what you like, and I understand that. But there is fundamentals to tattooing. There is ground where it's like every art has a fundamental to it. What you do produce it, hey, that's because that's the beauty of art. You know, this is the beauty of music. You can create something that you enjoy. It doesn't mean that everyone has to enjoy it. You like what you like, and that's okay. But there's fundamentals to it, like picking up a guitar. There's a fundamental to making that thing sound right, you know? But then you hear someone else is like, I'm just going to totally shit this whole thing up, make it different. You're like, yeah, it sounds like a fucking cat being thrown in frozen water. But, you know, someone out there's like, dude, that's art. You know, you're like, well, that's not my thing.
Cyber-sigillism.
Yeah, right? You know, like any kind of coin, there's a heads and a tails, but there's that thin line that separates those two. I'm sure that I looked at it when I went on there, kind of like how they thought, was like, I'm coming in it from an artistic standpoint because this was my background. And then you realize, like, they're not looking at it from that standpoint. They're looking at it from like, no, we're here to make ratings. Drama seems to do better. There's a reason why Cops was a #1 TV show. Better than any other sitcom is because drama made ratings.
Right. There's reasons why people advanced and others didn't because of the character they are.
Yeah. There's a reason why some people were on there because they were, you know, I said this when I first was on the show, and I went there and I thought like, you know, when I was in Vegas, I was on a couple other shows before, and I thought like, hey, this is what TV is like. First time I went on there, and I was like, wait a minute, this is nothing like I thought. And I realized what the shit that they were trying to pull and the things they were doing, like shit wasn't making sense. And it really wasn't coming from the judges. It was a lot of stuff that you seen shifting around in the background and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And I was like, oh fuck, this isn't about that.
But here's my problem. Here's my problem with that. And the reason why I can say this is because TV networks don't give a fuck about the audience. They look down on the fucking audience. They don't think the audience has the wherewithal to even know what they like, which is what happens with algorithms, which is what happens with corporations.
But that's with everything. Look
but
at your
no,
phone.
but that's
the phone is like
but the
TV.
fact
It's
is
like most people have to be told what's popular. There's a reason why there's a top 40 music that plays the same 5 songs every 8 minutes.
I totally understand that. I'm not saying you're wrong in that particular instance. The fact is, though, none of these networks are prepared or willing to take a chance on something that might actually be better.
No, they tried that.
No, they didn't. Where did they try it?
You don't remember like when they were doing that whole thing with Aaron Kane and you know?
Yeah, the problem with that.
I was like, oh my god.
No, you know as well as I do. No,
went nowhere.
No, you know as well as I do. You know as well as I do. That failed because it was done by a guy who runs a biker fucking build-off fucking show, and that guy knew nothing about production. That's it. That's all that was. The difference between the show that I was on and the show that you were on, the biggest thing that I hear, and I'm not going to say that our show was better. I'm not going to say that I think our show was kind of laughable in a sense. But the fact is, the majority of the people that tuned into our show, what they dug about it was the fact that it was more about the art, it was more about the story that the client had to tell than it was about the fucking drama. Having said that, there's no guarantee that it wouldn't eventually gone the way of drama. What killed our show was that it was on a fucking horrible fucking network that had no...
drama. You guys hosted probably more better artists that came out of that thing.
In the beginning. No, that's not true. I don't believe that.
You guys didn't have the kind of drama. You were on there because you had the mouth. And they tried to...
Oh, no, full on.
It was one of those things I was watching. I was like, I'm watching it, you know, from my home. And I'm like, dude, why isn't Joe say something right now? I'm sure he did, but it's never going to make air.
Exactly. And that was the thing. I got hired based off of what I say.
Certain networks will air certain things. There's a reason why there's a sports channel, and then there's the home network where like everything is so soft. It sounds like elevator music for every movie that comes out.
My point being is, production is making the decisions, and it has nothing to do with what the audience fucking wants. And again, if I'm fucking wrong on that, then I would love for somebody from fucking Ink Master, one of these fucking heads, to come and be like, no, you're fucking wrong. Here are the fucking numbers. This is what people want. You and I both know what fucking pop culture and fucking and especially something like network culture, they are gonna fucking drill home whatever worked for them. There's a reason why Marvel fucking comics fucking movies are in the fucking toilet because they're too stupid to pull the head out of their own fucking asses to know that their fucking audience doesn't like the same shit that they've been putting out for the last fucking 15 years. And that's how I feel about TV. They're not willing to listen to what people actually want to see. I mean, dude, you're willing to fucking show a guy making knives and swords on fucking, but you're not willing to fucking sit down and watch a guy put together a fucking machine, maybe build that machine. You had certain things like Vice TV did a thing with that, and I thought that was amazing. My only issue with that was you dealt with one artist who hooked up his 6 fucking friends, and the rest of the world apparently doesn't exist when it comes to tattooing.
You're not the audience you're trying to appeal to.
But the fact of the matter is the audience has an interest in it. They're just not willing to let them see it.
They don't know, because the thing is like, if it was made for tattooers, it had been on at 11 o'clock when we got done with fucking work and we got home to actually watch
agreed.
It was made for people who wanted to live that life from the comforts of their own home. And then when it became socially acceptable, when people started to learning titles and names and what fucking a style was, then all of a sudden the education of people going, okay, maybe tattooing isn't so bad. But the problem with it is that shit snowballed. And it fucking got way out of fucking hand. And it blew into like, uh-oh, we found a formula. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go look at like some kind of demographic board on what social media says is the popular thing. So we got to have this look. It's the reason why you ever look at Ink Master and then sit there and why everyone almost has the same fucking outfit every damn season. It's like picking out a boy band. You have to cater to every fucking body, every demographic, and then funnel it down to 3 fucking people going, hey, we knew you hated this guy or this girl or this, alphabet, whatever, in the beginning wasn't your thing, but now you're like, yeah, go for it. It's because the writers, for some fucking reason you need a writer, all funnel it down to like, here's the storyline. Here's the storyline that made it become the Cinderella story of like why they are here. Instead of like some people didn't make it because, dude, you don't talk enough.
But that's all based on previous demographics that worked.
And
I'm not
changing. Look at now. It's like I watch it now, and I can't get 5 minutes past watching it going, oh my fucking god, I already know what's going on.
And again, I'm not arguing with you. You're 100% fucking right. That's exactly what the fucking problem is. My argument
just with tattoo show. That's across the fucking board.
The whole thing is where it started.
Point.
The whole thing is what it started is what I was trying to ask you. I asked it poorly. Was you have Dave sitting up there with all these shitty tattoos as a judge. So he's like the rock star and everybody's looking at him. So now, in this day and age where you have this Ink Master thing where everybody's on there, everybody wants to get into tattooing because they want to be a rock star, they want to make money and all this fucking imaginary bullshit. What I'm asking is, do you think that at some point that he turned into almost like a stereotype for these guys that come in now with poor tattoos saying it's just their style? Well, look, like this guy was a judge and he wasn't covered with the best tattoos, so that's okay. He's a rock star. I want to be a rock star. This is just my style.
I can't say that that's what it is. I can say that's a part of the ingredient that made that formula.
Right.
So we are in a society now across the board to where there's entitlement. There's, it's like you have a participation trophy for everything. There is no more thing that's going to be held standards. There's like a thing towards, again, there's fundamentals to things. But nowadays, if someone doesn't feel like, well, I don't want to do the fundamental part because it hurts my feelings, that you can't be this way, they're like, okay, well, then we'll find a way to make you feel okay to it.
Yeah, we'll make your safe space.
Then it becomes this whole creative thing to where it's like they found a way to where it's like, we just have to, it's the formula that creates a thing. It's no longer about the artwork. It's, again, like you look at tattoos, you look at music, it's like I can sit there and look at different tattoos because I'm, however you want to say it, I'm a professional, this is how I supply my family is with tattooing. So I can have a say so of like, look, the fundamentals of tattooing are this. But watching like all these things come around and go, well, people look at it like, well, you know what? This is artwork. And you're like, why is that artwork? Well, I'm like, dude, that's shit. You just gave it a new title instead of calling it like horrible tattoos. You're like, well, no, I'm going to call it so and that's a style.
Like now. Exactly what you said about being.
Look at, like,
so tattooing's become modern art.
Anything can become modern art.
Exactly. So, it's just a bullshit story, right?
Let me ask you this. You like music, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We come from a time where it's like, I'll use music as an example. Everybody we knew, like tattooing, came in, they knew their instrument. They played their instrument. You wanted to be a drummer, you learned drums. You wanted to be a bass player, you learned the bass. You want to be a singer, you learned how to sing. You've done things to where you knew the instrument you were holding. All right? Well, people that go to these little techno musics and stuff like that, because he doesn't play an instrument whatsoever, he knows how to push a button. Is he a musician now? Because he knows what he likes to hear. But again, he made none of that stuff. He just put other beats together. What's like, well, he's still a musician. Well, is he really or not? Where do you find that fine line at?
Yeah.
Is it? Can I walk up to some electronic festival where I know for a fact the guy behind there is so fucking high, he's not even pushing a button, but that dude's getting paid millions of dollars as opposed to guys who are sitting on some little bar thing that actually play an instrument, and this guy's like, I'm too fucked up to know how to hit enter. Like, how do I fucking push play? And everyone's like losing their fucking mind. But it's still considered music, right? But is he a musician? So where do you find
No, that's just again. I think that's literally. It's exactly what we're saying. It's you're basically making a place for somebody to sit at the table. That's all that comes down to.
Well,
that's all that comes down to.
It's not just sitting at the table anymore. They're just making a different restaurant. You know, it's just people are. Just
well, no, again, well that's the equivalent of that. I think it's just the equivalent of like you're giving the person the opportunity to sit at the fucking table. You're making a spot for that person to fucking be there, and the difference between the real, well, it's not even the real world because the real world right now is just that. We do that kind of stuff. We make spaces for people to sit there. You create safe spaces to make people feel like they should belong there, and none of those people are smart enough to sit back and go, well, they're just doing that to fucking to cater to me. They're just doing that to take advantage of me. Where the guy who owns a regular tattoo shop, that you're not going to be judged, you're not going to be shit talked or whatever, and if you are, you're never going to know about it.
But that's the thing. So like I said, there's going to be points to where it's like I look at it, and I'm going to use this example of people that actually play their instrument, and then because some people are going to look at like, oh, why are you attacking DJs? I'm not attacking DJs. I'm not saying it, but at what
kind
point?
of are.
No, but
you're just making a correlation.
But no, the correlation is because I want people to understand from both sides at a certain point. So if a guy, so we'll talk about food. There's a guy who's a culinary chef, because he serves food and cuts food up and serves it. He's a chef. Well, guy at McDonald's flips a bunch of burgers together. Is he a chef?
No. So we talked about this earlier. That there's a bunch of influencers who basically work for somebody in their fucking house, and they're fucking now they're savvy with fucking TikTok, and now they're all of a sudden chefs. People are just like, oh no, that guy's a chef. And you talk to a guy who works in a fucking restaurant, spent 30 fucking years creating a career for himself, and now he's got to listen to some fucking douchebag who's been doing this for fucking 4 years, who just got a deal for a bunch of Ginsu wannabe fucking knives. He's a fucking chef? No. There's certain things where you said before, you fucking pay a certain amount of fucking dues to get to the point where you are.
You earn that. When
somebody play acts at being a fucking great tattooer inside of a year, fuck off.
A lot of what's coming down from this now is I think we were raised from a time in a bunch of different generations and a bunch of different craftsmen came from that point. But you look at like today's modern standards have not only just, changed for this in our industry now, but every industry, to where it no longer actually has to mean to do about craftsmanship is dying. Not that it still doesn't exist and people who don't want to thrive or want that kind of thing. We were just blessed and fortunate enough to kind of see that kind of thing. We were raised by people who actually used and got their hands dirty and fucking understood that kind of thing. So there's no wrong in us going, we want to keep these traditions alive so people still understand it to where it's not getting lost. But you have this newer generation where people's like, no, it's entitlement. It's like, I don't need to learn the old ways because the new ways is supplying me with money because I found a way to make a commercial. I found a way to make the algorithm a part of my fucking life, and that's what I supply my family with. They're like, well, if I don't have to get my hands dirty and I can still get $100,000 for making a TikTok video or fucking some other kind of thing on some other kind of stream for just doing whatever, either being a jackass or being hot or being muscular or fucking having enough money to fucking show rich fancy cars, and those guys are like, well, Stu, give them the money. It's because everyone's paying attention to it. It's like, we said the same thing. It's like, look, Cops was the #1 show. Does that crackhead is he famous because he was just being a fucking crackhead?
In the neighborhood he is. In the neighborhood he is.
So essentially,
hey, Toothy Bob made it.
Yeah. So essentially, you're sacrificing integrity and education for $1.
Well, the thing is like,
welcome to television, man.
Well, no, it's welcome to the world.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Again,
it's the world.
But you know as well as I do, the television is the fucking world. That's where that's the tit.
What the fuck is television anymore? There is no television.
No.
Well, when I mean television, I mean
yeah, it's all apps and fucking downloads.
So I think when I say television, I think I mean it in the sense of like media in general. Like
who the fuck has a cable bill anywhere?
But I mean media in general. I mean, like the grand scheme of media.
Oh, media
Well,
is
I
fucked.
think what it is, again, we're arguing the same circle. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
we're just
totally.
coming from a different perspective of it. Again, I think what you have right now is you have a generation of people that were raised by older heads that showed us, hey, hard work, you pay something. You want to be a farmer to produce the fruit to still live, this is how it's done. You got your hands dirty, you got to know the tools, you got to learn these techniques. And that's not saying that younger generation doesn't want to have that. They still care for that thing. But when you look at the mass pie of that things, most people are looking like, well, if I can just get to the finish line without ever doing the race, then why would I race?
Yep, I don't need to grow. I'll go to the grocery store.
That's how they look at it, you know? And there is a, like, dude, I understand it from a standpoint, but as a certain thing, it's like, dude, if you want to make a living at this kind of thing, like, please have the respect to understand where it came from, where most people don't give a shit about that anymore because there's no need to. There's no accountability for it. When they're done, they're going to move on to the next thing.
Yep.
You know, it's like we have art students that found a way. There's no such thing as a starving artist anymore. When's the last time you heard someone say starving artist?
Oh, don't
Past-
even, dude. I know.
Past couple months have been pretty
I-
fucking starving.
But the thing is like you have art students going, well, fuck, you know, we all went to college and we learned how to paint this fruit basket. You know, it's like maybe 1-2 people out of that class is probably going to be able to actually go on and do something. You know, the rest of them are like, I went to college for being an art student. It really didn't get me nowhere because I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And you're like, well, what? So you can buy tattoo equipment and be like, well, I'm an artist. You know, how many times you look at these people like, I'm an artist. Well, hey, take an apprenticeship? No. You know, you have apprentices now that are 1-2 years having 2-3 apprentices themselves.
Yeah.
Because the accessibility to it is so easy. You know, like we don't need any of that stuff anymore. It's so simple. And the thing you listen to other people get frustrated about is because we're trying to warn them like, look, there's a reason why they took away, you know, home ec and shop from fucking schools anymore. It's because we don't want you to know how to do that stuff. We want you to rely on us. We want this to be taken away from you so you don't know how to fix a fucking engine.
You hit the
don't
nail
know
on
how
the
to
head.
cook your own food. You don't know how to grow your food. We want you so dumbed down that whatever we tell you, we're telling you that this is what you need to know. It's the same thing. You know, I don't know what, you know, this is what everything that I listen to music is still shit that I grew up on. I mean, there's 1 or 2, 3 bands or something like that I listen now that's more modern, but it's because they sound like a lot of the shit that I used to listen to.
Right.
In tattooing and in cars, makeup, whatever it may be, whatever craftsman thing that you find yourself in, it's like that shit's almost gone. It's because they want you to rely so much on like, look, we don't want you to have a brain. We just want you to know that we're going to tell you what's
Yep.
the next
Get
thing.
in your lane and stay there.
And here's the next thing. And they're going to tell you what lane to stay in.
Yep.
You know, they keep this thing in because they're like, look, people just need to be led. They're like, we don't want actual farmers. We want to make everyone the sheep. You know, like we want everyone to understand and confide by what we want to teach you. And you got people like, look, man, you don't have to be that way. Not saying that you don't have to, but if you can still walk into understanding these things, that when the shit does hit the fan, let me explain to you how you can still survive. You know, when this thing, it is, and people laugh about it, it is going to implode. It is going to get so fucking watered down that fucking tattooing courses is probably going to be a high school fucking thing at some point. You know, sadly. You know, there's fucking prisons that are teaching fucking tattoo courses. There's fucking colleges that are teaching tattoo courses. You know, at a certain point, it's going to get so watered down that it's become that acceptable because you're like, it is a profession, it is a job, this is how simple it needs to be.
All right.
So maybe we should start giving tattoo etiquette and respect seminars.
Maybe.
So I think that might actually be very good. So basically, if you young cats out there don't want to have your liver eaten because you're just not strong enough, you might want to listen to some of the stuff that Jimmy had to say because that's the direction this world is going.
Yeah,
right now.
100%.
So we're gonna end it on that because I don't know where to go from there. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on before?
But you said something before when
Yes.
you were talking about when you looked at like the biker tattoos and you were like, oh, that's cool art. At a point, like I remember like early 2000s too, like when I was really getting into tattoo stuff and I was like, oh man, the art of this is real cool. More so now, we have people come in, they don't give a fuck that it's art. It's treated more like an accessory. You know what I'm saying?
No, agreed. You're 100% right, and I think that's part of the thing. When I said before about, you know, like the quality of client, what I meant by that, it's not meant necessarily as a shot, even though it is technically it is an attack, but it is the quality of client in the sense that they're willing to find out who's doing their tattoo. They did a little bit of research on what they want. They went beyond 3 fucking swipes on their fucking on their Pinterest fucking thing. That's what I mean by quality of client. When you go to a tattoo convention and there are literally 150 fucking booths and 70 fucking 5 of those tattooers at that show are fucking top-notch quality, and maybe 25, 30, 40 of them are not tattooing at that moment, and you're not doing the due diligence to at least see and flip through some books and find something that you actually connect with, you are a bad client.
Yep,
and
shame
again,
on you.
I do realize that is not, politically correct to fucking say today, because we're supposed to suck the cock of the client, and we're supposed to do everything in our fucking power to fucking appease these people. But education somehow has stepped away. And again, this can go right back, and I'm not going down that fucking rabbit hole, but it does go exactly what Jimmy is saying. They don't want educated people. They want fucking mindless fucking drones to just follow.
That's right.
And my point is, if you're a fucking client, you're going out of your fucking way to get tattooed. Do the due diligence to find the fucking right tattooer to do it. Do the due diligence to connect with that artist. You will work with that guy for a very, very long time. And even if it's only one session, if you only get one fucking tattoo from that client, at least it'll be a fucking tattoo that you will remember for the rest of your fucking life. You'll remember his fucking name. You'll remember the conversations. You'll remember how good of a fucking, or bad of a time you have with that person. Do you know what I mean? That's what I mean by a fucking, the quality of client. That people just don't fucking care. And that's my problem with what's going on right now. They don't care what convention they go to. They don't care who's at that convention. They don't give a shit if they got tattooed by an apprentice who just happened to have fucking $1,000 burn a hole in their pocket. I don't know how they do, but it's apprentices of today. But that's the fucking problem with all this shit. And that's something that needs to fucking change.
Yeah, there's a lot that needs to change. And, you have these people that come in there and they come in there and they think that they know everything they possibly need to know. Sit back, man. Take a minute. Let us teach you what we know. Yeah. We know a lot. We've been doing this for 20, 30 plus years.
All right, I'm gonna open up another can of shit. I almost don't want to. But how much do you think that has to do with the fact that the reason why they have this fucking gung-ho, no bullshit attitude is because a bunch of other fucking asshole tattooers are out there telling people there are tattooers out there who are going to take advantage of you. That's why we have a safe space tattoo shop.
No,
I guarantee there are tattooers out there. You don't think it's
I
because
don't think
of that?
so. No, I think
you're
it's
a better person than me.
I think it's a self-entitlement participation award mindset.
So you're putting it all on the client.
Yes.
See,
100%.
I'm willing to give the client the benefit of the doubt that the fact that they're listening to other people in our industry that are taking advantage of those people. I honestly believe that.
I'm not saying they're not out there.
Oh no,
but
yeah.
I'm just saying for the most part, it's up to us as the professionals to educate our clients. They may or may not listen. Most of the time, they're probably going to not listen, and that's on them. We can do what we have to do, but it's up to us as professionals to be professionals, educate them, teach them right from wrong, the fundamentals of tattooing, on what's going to hold, what's not going to hold, and don't be a fucking dipshit with your fucking headphones on and ignore motherfuckers in your fucking chair.
I had a woman, and this was like a few weeks ago, regular of mine. I've tattooed her a dozen times. She came in, she's like, hey, I want this. I'm like, no, you don't. She's like, well, why not? I'm like, well, it looks bad. And she's like, well, aren't you supposed to tell me what I want to hear? I'm like, no, I'm supposed to tell you what is proper and what is not.
That's a good. Did she listen to you?
Yeah, 100%.
That's a professional.
And that's what matters.
That's right.
And that's what matters. And on that, that's what we're going to end on, because that was at least a little bit positive. That was a little bit positive. That was a little bit positive. I want to thank you guys very much for taking part in this. Thank you, Jimmy, for your fucking 2 cents, which is probably like. We gotta make a giant 2 cent penny for Jimmy.
If I gave my 2 cents, I'd still have to give you another dime. Yeah, my shit ain't worth nothing.
On that note, again, thank you very much. I'm gonna have
Joe's pleasure.
Stop. Thank you again,
No,
and thanks for coming
sir.
out and getting tattooed. I really
thank you,
appreciate
sir.
that. I'm gonna have all their information in the description below. Again, thank you very much, everybody out there. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate all the support that you're giving me. Please like and subscribe, spread the fucking word, and I'll see you when I see you.